Hey you guys, it's Coach Sabrina and Tucker. We are here today. Like we announced yesterday, we really just wanted to sit down with Coach and talk from a college recruiting perspective what this time looks like for you guys and give you just some helpful advice and tips that Coach Bingham, kind of would advise you guys during this time. So I'll just let her take it away.
All right. Well, first off, for the seniors out there, I know this is a really difficult time for you, and my heart goes out to you, and it saddens me, and I'm really sorry that you have lost some important time right now with your sport, and so I know that must be very difficult. What I do want to encourage you with, though, is use this time also as a blessing to get a lot of work done when it comes to recruiting. If you are a senior and you're still looking for a place to play, this is your time to really connect with some of the coaches out there who are actually going through the same thing that you are. They are quarantined at home, and so they are going to have some time to really get to know you, whether you're sending texts, emails, if you're sending some voicemails to their offices. They're going to be able to connect with you and get to know you at a strong level. And so I would just say go for it and really start connecting with them. Ask them some questions about just what their roster looks like. Do they still need someone to come in to fill a spot? And don't be afraid of the no. There's going to be some of them that they're absolutely full right now, and they're just going to be honest and tell you no. And don't be afraid of that. Just know that that's your chance to move on to your next choices and to keep going. Thank them for their time and keep moving on and finding a spot that fits you well.
That's something that we had really been talking about, is just, like Coach said, don't be afraid of getting a no, because there's always something to learn from that, So don't be offended because sometimes you might hear a no just because for that season, that program does not have your position open. I know when I was playing, I talked to a couple coaches that was the case. It was like, we don't have a setter position open for the next 3 years, so why would they recruit me to come sit the bench when they already have that position filled, So don't let that offend you, and also, if they do have criticism and feedback, take that and run with it, because that's only going to help your game get better.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you are a junior or sophomore, this is an amazing time for you to just begin to do a whole lot of research on university choices. You need to write down for yourself and really actually get to know yourself and what kind of school would best fit you. I think sometimes we see a lot as coaches, we see the mass emails go out to 250 schools across the nation, and that really doesn't help you as an athlete if it's so broad. And so I would just encourage you to begin to write down some thoughts on a school that would fit you. If you know that you wouldn't fit well into a really large school, then start taking those off your list. If there's a certain area of the country that you know that you want to be a part of, then remove all the others off of that list. And just start kind of really doing some research into the schools, seeing maybe what sticks out about that school, and jot those down so that when you do start to communicate with the coaches, you have very specific things that it's going to catch their eye. If you have a certain department that you want to be a major in, if you know something about them that stands out because maybe they're a small liberal arts school or something like that, share that with them, and then that also allows them to go, okay, this player is serious about our school and I want to talk to them a little bit more. Another thing to do is, yes, you want to contact coaches, you also want to contact admissions departments and maybe even the dean of the area of study that you're interested in. The more that the school realizes that you're serious in their programs, they're going to be sending you more things. They're going to be contacting you more and letting you know more about what's going on at their university. And it just gets your name out there to where they want to communicate with you at a whole other level.
I think I'm going to put you on the spot here, but do you remember when you were at Hardin-Simmons, any specific letter or something that a student did that really stuck out as far as like they did their research on you, so they knew like, hey coach, this is Tucker from Abilene, like I love that you do XYZ with your players, or do you have any examples like that where you're like, that was specific and made me feel special as a coach and made me feel like that player was invested in my program?
Absolutely. I've had players that have contacted me and have really done some research and said, hey, I saw how well your team did this past year, and your record was outstanding. And I saw some game film of what you guys were doing, and that's a kind of team that I want to be a part of. And so they shared those things with me, and they could go into detail about some things that stood out in my coaching profile. So to me, that was kind of a special opportunity of me looking and going, this girl has really stepped up and done some research and really wants to be here and be a part of this program. And so it really spurred on the communication with that player.
Yeah.
Another area that I would encourage you during this time that I think kind of normally you guys are in the middle of spring season and club season and you're busy a lot. And so right now is a great time to work on your videos. Sometimes those get put on the back burner because it's difficult to kind of break down film to send the right film to coaches. Highlight videos are great, but you always want to accompany highlight videos with full game film so that a coach can see kind of how you handle mistakes, how you are as a leader out there on the court, things like that you can only see through watching the game. And another thing that I love that players do is when they do send game film, if they kind of communicate what is happening in the game.
So like pausing the clips?
Yeah, they can either pause the clips or just in their email be like, this game was special to me because of these things. Yeah. And they can talk about how they had to step up as a leader during that game. And it just makes it very personal in that communication with the player and that coach.
Would you recommend, or do you like students sending in highlight video, game film, a cover letter, and then also maybe like an interview kind of like this where they're speaking to you on film of just introducing themselves on actual video? Is that helpful?
Yes, it is helpful. That's kind of a profile video is very helpful, just kind of talking through some things. Profile pages that just kind of give the gist of what they've done as far as their sport goes, but then also all their extracurriculars, their stats, their academic information, that kind of thing on paper is always good to be able to turn into a coach. If you do have several years before you're at that point, this is a great time to just introduce yourself to those coaches. Let them see you for the first time and let them know, hey, I'm very interested in your program, and I just want you to know that you're going to be hearing from me, and I look forward to staying in communication with you. Those kind of things.
Yeah, I love that. Get yourself on the coach's radar way ahead of the curve because no one else is going to be doing that. I think that's good.
I get a lot of questions about recruiting sites. Yeah. There is tons of college recruiting sites out there that can be utilized. But the question I get is, are they useful? Do I need to do them? The answer that I always give is that really is completely up to you. Recruiting sites are just a tool. It's just one more tool to help you in the recruiting process. What you don't want to do is take a recruiting site and have that be kind of your end all, where you just put your information out there and let that recruiting site do all the work. That's not going to help you have a personal relationship with the coach that you're trying to catch their attention. And so if you are looking to use, let's say, Be Recruited, NCSA, NSR, there's tons of them out there. Make sure that if you're utilizing those, that you send those to the coaches along with all this other stuff that we're talking about. It just can be, again, a tool that benefits where maybe you're not doing quite as much of the work when it comes to the video portion or things like that, and that website is doing some of that for you. But combine them. And the biggest piece is, as a college coach, we want to hear from the athlete. We don't want to hear from a recruiting site. We don't want to hear just from a parent. We do enjoy hearing from parents and that their child is interested in our program, but we're not recruiting the parent. And so if you're a parent and you're trying to work with your child, that is great, but really be pushing them to do the legwork. Okay, you can help them with the research, you can help them find some information, but when it comes to the communication part, they need to get to know your son or your daughter, and the coach really needs to know that on the personal level of who they're dealing with.
Yeah, no, I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say that it's easy. I'm not a parent, but I've seen so many parents, my parents are the same, because you're so invested in your kids and you've been involved in every single thing they've done up to this point, you do want to help them, and that's great to an extent, but Coach is right. I mean, when you go to college, students, your parents do not go with you. They're not coming to your 5 a.m. practices. They're not the ones that are on the court having to deal with everything that comes with that. So, I mean, I think that's great, just to note that you have to take ownership of your collegiate future now, even in the recruiting process, because that speaks to how you're going to be as a player and as a student athlete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other part of this time that I would really just encourage you guys to make sure you're doing is you're not playing the game right now. You're not being able to get into the gym like you normally would. And so a big important piece of this is having part of your schedule be just fitness and keeping your level of fitness up, your level of strength where it needs to be. You still can be working on your skills individually at home. Yes, it's going to be a lot more difficult because you don't have the gym to do that. But I wanted Tucker to kind of touch on just some of maybe just the structure of how to add fitness and strength into your days.
Yeah. So I honestly, especially speaking from a volleyball perspective, which coached volleyball at Hardin-Simmons, I played volleyball, but for any sport, working on your agilities and your footwork and your vertical is probably going to be some of the main components. I know things like doing jump rope, doing floor ladders, doing different movement drills with that. Even honestly, it sounds kind of goofy, but doing like wall sits and then block jumps or wall jumps on the wall, consistently doing some sort of jumping and footwork movement every single day is going to be beneficial. So that's one thing I would recommend, working on your vertical every single day. And like I said, you can go buy a jump rope at Walmart for $5 and do that in your backyard. So that's something that you can be doing now. And then Coach is right too. As fun as playing the sport is, and sometimes it seems like that's the way you stay in shape, and so then working out is kind of that's a bore, but that's crucial, because if you're not able to play your sport for 3 months and you're sitting on the couch, when you get back out there, you might have the greatest approach in the world, but if you get winded after 2 hits, then that's benefiting no one, Right. So I think, like I said, I would recommend every single day doing vertical agility, footwork type stuff, and then honestly, it's going to benefit you to do as much as you can every single day, but I would work in at least probably twice a week doing some sort of full body workout. So you're working on push-ups, you're working on squats. You don't have to have weight to do squats. You can do 100 body weight squats and your quads are going to be burning, I promise. So doing body weight movements that are going to increase your strength overall, like I said, I would do those at least twice a week, if not add those in every single day because you have the time right now. And you guys are super lucky because you live in a time where everything's at your fingertips. So especially right now, everyone's posting workouts on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook. We are posting things that you can do for volleyball and basketball and drills, but we're also posting fitness things on our AYSA stuff. So you have so many tools to get ideas, and you can always message us if you need ideas. But I would just really encourage you guys. That's a big piece, Whenever you go to play in college, you don't just go to play volleyball. Like, we still had lifting workouts 3 times a week. Right. So if you come in not knowing anything or you don't have any strength, you're going to be behind. So you want to come into the game ahead of the curve and ahead of all your peers, because that's going to make you more attractive as an athlete. So.
And with that, as you're communicating with the coaches that you're interested in their university, let them know some of the stuff that you're doing at home. I know that being a coach at Hardin-Simmons, I would have loved to hear from a student athlete during this time who said, not only am I interested in your school, but here are some of the things that I'm doing every day as a schedule to keep myself in shape and keep myself busy and strong. But then also, if you're not sure what to do, let them know what you're doing, and then even say, hey, do you have any helpful ideas along that? Coaches are always going to have some things to share with you that their team does to stay in shape and to just be ready for season. And so again, all of that together starts building a really strong relationship with the universities and the coaches that you want to be a part of their programs. And so please feel free to ask us any questions at any time that you might have as you're kind of navigating through this process. That's a lot more difficult than it has been in the past. So.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to just encourage you guys with one more thing too. Coach was talking about how she wants, it's good as athletes to not only send in your statistics on your sport, but also your academics. So now more than ever, it's going to be more difficult to get motivated to do your schoolwork and to be pursuing your academic career because you don't necessarily have someone pushing you to do that. Hopefully that you do, but you guys are getting old enough that you should be able to motivate yourselves. So just keep that in mind, that's, even though you're not in a classroom setting right now, that's still a big piece, because if you don't make good enough grades, you can't be eligible to play, so then all of this is pointless,
Right.
So